10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us on this Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. It's almost halfway through August. I can't believe it. We have a couple weeks left of August, and then we're in September. Back to school, all that stuff. Looking to Halloween is the next thing. Fall. Then winter. I can't believe it. Summer is, to me, it's almost over in my mind. But anyways, I'm a pessimist in that way, unfortunately. But we're looking forward to a good show today regardless. And we still got some summer left, and we'll take advantage of the time we do have left. We're grateful to have you on, and we're happy to let you know that we're on each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. on CKLU 96.7 FM on terrestrial radio, streaming live at cklu.ca. Just head over there and purchase whatever merch that you find cool, and there's a lot of cool merch there. You can, if you don't need it or you already got it, you can just simply donate to CKLU because it's you that put the U in CKLU. It's really the only reason we're on the air is because of people like yourself supporting the station, and it's our only campus and community radio station. Been in Sudbury since 1984. Started off in a humble trailer on Ramsey Lake Road at the Laurentian University campus, and now we're located in the old Telegraph building on the corner of Elm Street and Elgin. Part of the MacEwan School of Architecture there. And we're grateful for the partnership we have with Laurentian University over the years. But again, it's you that keep us going. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel, the page, and we'll do our best if you comment to get your comments up on the screen for those watching, read for those listening. And we encourage you to do that. Just even check in, say, hey, morning from Australia. Good morning from Toronto. Good morning from, obviously, Sudbury or Espanola or wherever. And we appreciate the check-ins. Today we're going to have a special guest on, Nick Bondaroff. You remember that name or you don't. He was the one who was let go of his job because of his political views, because he chose to run for the People's Party of Canada. That wasn't the reason his employers told him that, but he got let go shortly after they found out that he was running. And anyways, so we're going to check up on him and see how he's doing these days today, along with a really cool idea that he's got for the Bell Mansion that just came up for sale from Laurentian University. $1 million is the price tag. And he went through it yesterday, and he's going to let us know what he found, what he saw, and what he thinks could be done with the Bell Mansion, and you could be a part of it, apparently. So that sounds interesting. We'll have him on in just a few minutes after the weather. And also, we're going to be found on demand on the two platforms, Facebook and YouTube. Also, x.com/Sudbury News and Sudbury.news, which is our local news aggregator, which means all local news is found on one website, and that is Sudbury.news. So make sure to check it out, and you can see all the local news on that site. So without further ado, we'll just jump right into the show. Start off with a little bit of weather. We'll be back with all kinds of stuff, including Nick Bondaroff, your comments, and more right after this. And as usual, Sudbury Weather is brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. For this Friday, August 15th, 2025, it is 14 degrees currently. It is partly cloudy. And as you can see here for the long range, other than Saturday, quite a bit of sun to be had. Today, it'll be sunny. Winds will be moderate. High of 27 with the humidex. It'll feel like 31. UV index 8 or very high. Tonight, clear. And winds moderate again. Low of 17 tonight, so rather warm for the overnight. And then Saturday, mainly cloudy with a 60% chance of showers, a risk of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Wind becoming not very windy anyways, 20 kilometers per hour. High of 27. Humidex will feel like 33. And overnight, it'll be cloudy with a 60% chance of showers as well. Then on Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 19. Monday, 21 degrees, sunny. 21 for Tuesday and sunny as well, with the clouds starting to roll in. Mix of sun and cloud, and 24 on Wednesday, and 24 with a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday. As well, that's your long range forecast, and that's your weather forecast period, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Just want to see if I'm getting any messages here. So I did, but we're in the middle of the show. We'll be back with a couple news headlines, your comments, and then Nick Bondaroff should be joining us anytime, and we'll be back right after this. Okay, we're back. Good morning, everyone. And we will start off with a few shout outs, and I'm going to get back to someone here who's messaging me about something totally different, unrelated to everybody and everything. Okay, here we go. So it is Nana joining us first on YouTube. Good morning. Blessings, everyone. Heart emoji. Much appreciated, Nana. Thanks for being on. Northern Hillbilly also on YouTube. Good morning, people. Get food, water, all tangibles through times coming. Prepare. And I would add I would also add an exclamation point to that as well. And also, Nana's saying, welcome back, Nick. So he's going to be on. My son and I were just talking about you the other day and hoping that all went well for you. That's interesting. So we'll have Nick on in 2 seconds. He just came on. He's in the green room. He's muted for the moment, but we're going to have him on in 1 second after we get through a few morning shout outs. Good morning, Monique. Good morning, Sudbury. Got your smiley face shades emoji going on there. Judy, good morning to you. Marianne, good morning from West Nipissing. Hey, you're traveling closer to Sudbury again, and liked and shared as usual. Liette, good morning. Hand clap from Collingwood. Vin, morning to you. Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji, much needed, much appreciated. Belinda says, good morning. Focus on what you can do today, not how far you will have to go. Small steps build big victories. Triple heart emoji, much appreciated. And that is true. It's one step at a time, one small act at a time. And it looks like, I'm going to just say Duane, and I'm sorry if I've pronounced your name not correctly, but thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking in. And if you wanted to put pronunciation, a lot of people have done that, and I do remember pronunciations of names if you put it in the comments, if I haven't said it correctly. And I hope you can appreciate at least the effort, and thanks for being on. Claire, good morning. And to you, Evelyn's here. Good morning. I'm ready for the apocalypse. 2 years of supplies, 4 months of water supply, 3 years burning wood. Well, we got a lot of people who are not necessarily Oh, and we got Rose here as well. Good morning to you, Rose. Thanks for being on. And a lot of people, mistrusting what's going on in our governments and in around the world, and are just doing what they feel they can prepare for anything. And I say prepare regardless. You should have water. You should have food. You just never know what's going to happen. Maybe not the apocalypse right now. Maybe it's going to happen soon. Maybe it's going to happen later. But you should be prepared anyways. What if you lose a job? What if there's a natural disaster? What if it just gives you peace of mind if you got a pantry full of food, water, even some gas, whatever you need, just supplies. It never hurts to have that if you can do it. A little bit at a time always works. And so with that, someone who unfortunately lost his job just recently, we talked about that, Nick, just before you came on, as you were on before, and we interviewed you when you were going through with your employer when they found out you were running for the People's Party of Canada, that there was, some misunderstandings there and you were let go. Anything new on that front? If you want to let everyone know what's been happening since, how everything went, and you probably can't talk about everything, I'm not sure, but whatever you're able to talk about. I know a lot of people were wondering what happened with you, and good morning.
Good morning, AJ. Can you hear me okay?
I can when I put my headphones on.
Okay. Just making sure I sound okay. So I guess that'll happen during the election. I ran in the federal election. That was kind of my priority at the time. And although I am not sitting in Ottawa, it was, overall it was a really positive experience running in the federal election. And aside from that one incident situation, the rest of it was actually a really, really positive experience overall. I was not elected. So I got another employment. I have other employment, so that's good. And I'd spent a lot of time talking to different lawyers to see who would be suitable to represent me, because I wanted to get a lawyer that was willing to take it to trial, had experience with it. And so I talked to a couple different ones, and I did end up signing with one a couple months ago down in Southern Ontario, who's quite interested in doing it. And he's just been quite busy, so he hasn't initiated any of the legal stuff at this point. So, but anything with the legal system, at least in my experience, it's going to take time. So I don't expect any fast resolution on it right now.
Yeah, you're in for the long game in this one. If you're choosing to go down that road, it won't be something that's done overnight, for sure. So at least something's in motion, and you're at least trying to, I guess, is it the principle of the thing that you're mainly after here, or what's the reasoning for the legal road you're going down?
Both the principle of it and the financial aspect of it too. Like, I received no compensation. It was 3 weeks through ESA, but for a termination like that, even nothing to do with hypothetically, I don't know how they're gonna do mental gymnastics on this one. Had nothing to do with even if it was a justified firing or something. You're still through precedent entitled to compensation, and I essentially had nothing because I wouldn't sign their confidentiality agreement.
So so that's interesting. Oh, where'd you go there? Okay, that's just my mishap here. Sorry about that. But that's interesting that that they chose to do that, and hopefully, you're able to get some type of, reparation for that, like you said, legally, and just the way things are done, through, being let go. There's laws, there's labor laws, right? And if they're not following those, then hopefully you're able to get, I don't know, for lack of a better word, justice with that. And but you're positive. You're staying positive through it all. And how are you able to be so positive, even though anyone else who've gone through that, they could have chose to be angry or other things, or maybe you are angry. I don't know what. You seem to be positive though.
Yeah, no, I think I am. I'm certainly not angry. I'm disappointed that happened, and I had to go through all that. And I don't think it's right or fair. But I mean, there are positives that came out of it. I had the opportunity to connect with a lot of people that I would have never connected with otherwise, either from just people that reach out to me or people you meet through the party or anywhere else. So I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people. Even I had a moderate amount of media attention, from being here and other media outlets, Sudbury Star, Sudbury.com. So I had the opportunity to just have that opportunity to talk with media that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So, I mean, not that that's really what I was going for, but lots of positives did come out of it. And yeah.
And now what are you doing for work? Are you somewhere else working, or like, what are you doing now?
Working during the week up in Timmins for an employer there. They don't like to get involved in all my political shenanigans, so they probably don't want to be known who they are. But they're a good employer, and I work for them right now, and so that's good.
Now, what do you think it says about the political climate in Canada where, and again, you're not able to say the employer you're with now, just so that way, they don't get, I don't know what if they're afraid to say because everything's political now.
No.
What do you feel what's going on with this whole, political climate in Canada?
I don't think it's the employer is like who I'm working for. I've worked a long time for the Canadian Armed Forces as a reservist, and I took a full-time contract with them in Timmins. Like, it's not
okay.
It's not secret. They just don't want to get involved in the whatever I deal with now.
Yeah, and I can see that. But at the same time, seeing what happened to you at work, it is like these types of things are happening in Canada. People are actually, someone who was running for the political party you were running for in BC was debanked. Even the bank said, sorry, you can't bank with us anymore, and that was it, and can't get a bank account. So these types of things, like who would have thought 10 years ago, if we were talking, like, they'd say, well, that's impossible, you can't do that. So where do you think we're at politically if that can happen? Do you think this is the future? Do you think this is like the way things are going to be? We just got to get used to it. If you don't go along with whatever the current government says or whatever, you can lose your job or not have a bank account.
Yeah, I think it's very concerning because, it was at the back of your mind is like, well, what if happened if I would get, lost my job over this? And then sure enough, like, my craziest nightmare comes true. So that's why, I'm quite hesitant to, even if it was like, I don't want whatever proceeds legally with this to be just covered up under another confidentiality agreement. Because I think it's important that whatever comes out of it is public and stuff. So it doesn't mean it has to go to trial. You can make agreements outside of trial, but to the point that it's not just covered up in whatever clause, confidentiality, NDA type thing.
Like, it would be nice if it was kept public so people can see what's going on, and that way it keeps things more accountable too, right? The more people know what's happening in their legal system and in their political systems, it's a lot of things, like you said, are swept under the rug, are done behind closed doors and things, and that's the way things progress in a not so good way for the benefit of the general population, including people like yourselves, because that wouldn't have happened if there would have been accountability for, people saying that shouldn't happen. Employers should not be able to do that. And your employer then would have had a backlash, lost contracts over it, things like that. They'd be like, oh, sorry, we shouldn't have done that. But I think a lot of people were applauding them for what they did. They're like, yeah, because that party's racist, or whatever they're going to say. You know what I mean? Like, I hear that all the time. Like this latest thing of you're not allowed to walk in the woods in the East Coast, or you're going to get fined either $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 jail time in Newfoundland, like for walking in the woods, and sometimes on your own property. You're allowed to walk only if you walk by yourself. You're not allowed to take your significant other with you or something. Like, what's up with these kind of laws and stuff? It's like things, people got to wake up at some point and say, oh, no, you can't do things like that,
Yeah. My mom in Parksville, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island during our favorite time in 2020. She was working at I think it was Qualicum Beach, just one of the big beaches, like a beach for like miles in all directions. And she had bylaw come and fine her. Now she ended up agreeing to just leave and not get fined, but like she was like super rattled. And it's like almost that type of like thing, similar in some sense where you can't just make your own decision. Like, okay, there's a super, super low risk that I'm going to catch COVID and die on this beach, or a super, super low risk that I'm going to die in a wildfire that's, very far away. So, yeah.
Yeah, and again, common sense went out the window during all that time, and that's the thing. I think people, it set a precedent to some degree, even in people's minds, that okay, we're going to go there, and it's allowed to go there. I think we learned a lot from that. And look at the idea: your mom's out walking by herself or whatever on a beach in the middle of nowhere. It's all, fresh air, whatever. But then for the bylaw to come up to her, they were probably less than 6 feet within her to tell her she needs to leave. So they're, you know what I mean? They're actually putting themselves at risk to stop her from walking out in nature. That's not common sense, and if they were to arrest her or whatever, they would have put handcuffs on her, put her in a car. They would have been in the same car, breathing the same air, and if they were really worried about COVID, that wouldn't have happened. It was all about these laws and the government seeing how far they could go is what ended up looking like worldwide. It was just they're pushing the envelope. Exactly. It was not common sense. And if people don't just push back and say, no, enough's enough, like it'll just go on. And then now we have people, like I had a conversation with someone at work the other day and like, oh yeah, no, you shouldn't be going for a walk. That's dangerous. And I'm like, what? Going for a walk is dangerous? Oh yeah, no, like, the government has every right. You shouldn't be stupid enough to go into the woods if they tell you they're going to find you. I think it's right what they did. And I'm just listening to that. I'm going, wow, there must be a lot of people like you know what I mean, out there. And that's interesting. And I guess it just shows where we've come as a society, But it is what it is. But you've come with a cool idea. So we just wanted to find out, how you've been. And a lot of people have been wondering about you, where things have gone since you've been through that. And now tell us a little bit about what you're looking at these days. You called me, you got in touch with me. You said, hey, I got a cool idea.
Sure. So last year, I ended up buying the President's House off Laurentian University, and I turned it into like a Airbnb, bed and breakfast. It was like quite the process to do with funding and everything, from even home insurance, and it had a lien from the federal government, and incredibly challenging process. But I did end up purchasing it, turning it around, making it cash flow positive, not just like, for several months it was costing me a lot of money. But anyhow, so do that. That's successful, and it doesn't take up all of my time now, or all my free time. And then just last week, or actually I think it was on Monday maybe of this week, then Laurentian put up for sale Bell Mansion. So that's the other property that they're being forced to sell because of the creditors and arrangement. And so I reached out to my realtor. I'm like, we got to check this out, because we did this one here and it was quite the ordeal, and maybe there's something we could do with the Bell Mansion property as well. So
so hold that, because I have the CTV news story on the Bell Mansion for sale. So we'll just cue that up, and then we'll come back and then we'll just take it from there, because it'll explain what happened and everything here.
A well-known historic building in Sudbury is up for sale, listed for a cool $1 million. We get more details now from CTV's Angela Gemmel.
This property holds so much meaning to so many citizens here in Sudbury.
Known as Bell Mansion or Bell Rock, this 8,000 square foot, 118-year-old building on 2.1 acres of land is up for sale to the highest bidder. Not far from Bell Park, the mansion was built in 1907 and gifted to Laurentian University in 1968. The building had most recently been occupied by the Art Gallery of Sudbury.
And actually, once the gallery was empty and they had moved on to their other space, it was really cool to see the open spaces and how much potential actually this building really has.
The sale is part of Laurentian's plan to put its finances back in order after insolvency. The school first announced the sale of the property last December. Its president saying at the time costs required to repair it for occupancy far exceed what the university can responsibly invest. At this time, our resources must be focused on enhancing academic programs, student services, and campus infrastructure. On Monday, local media were taken on a tour of the three-story mansion. Vandenberg says there's been a lot of interest in the property, and she's confident it can sell for the asking price.
I guess we'll just have to see. We're inviting all interested buyers to come forward with an offer, and we're pretty confident that we'll find a buyer here in Sudbury that can not only take on the project, but also invest in its legacy and in reimagine its future.
Bell Mansion has been a designated historical site since 1983. That means under the Ontario Heritage Act, new owners must adhere to strict guidelines for any potential changes. And the City of Greater Sudbury says that historical designation will remain with the property regardless of ownership.
And that was Angela Gemmel from CTV News. Thanks for that, Angela. And so that just media went through there on Monday. You went through it on yesterday. So they mentioned a few things there that whoever owns it, they're going to have to adhere to all of the strict guidelines and things because it is a historical building and all that. So you went through it yesterday. And so what were some of your thoughts when you were going through it?
So I'd never gone inside it when it was an art gallery, but I happen to live literally across the street from it. So I walk by there actually lots of times when I go down to Bell Park. I take a detour through the property. From the outside, it's gorgeous. The rock face on it. It's a huge property, and I'm like, when I heard this thing was going for sale, I thought there's so much potential. Wasn't sure what to do with it. Of course, we finally get the viewing. It was actually a bit of a process to get the viewing too, because you had to sign some confidentiality agreements to get the viewing. And so there's a small group of us that went to look under my realtor, Anthony Roca. He pulled off this house for me, so here's a shout out for him. And
Cool.
Anyhow, inside, maybe you want to show some of the videos I sent you earlier, but it is a dive. Like, it is a disaster inside. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's too bad that it kind of was allowed to get to that state, but it's not a turnaround property by any means. Like, not a quick turnaround.
Now I tried to get the videos and the pics from WhatsApp and get them off that into something that I could play on the show. I tried for about a half an hour last night. Wasn't able to do it. WhatsApp wants to keep them in WhatsApp. Doesn't want you to take them out of there as far as I could see on my phone. But yeah, so anyone who's been to the art gallery, you can just imagine it without any of the stuff on the walls, or, you know what I mean? And so talk about some of the disrepair that you said it was in. Like, do you think it was upkept at all? Like, do you think it was just kind of let go or what?
Well, definitely let go. But I think what happened is, I think it was a good idea initially, like the art gallery, but I think the challenge is that maybe Sudbury didn't have the amount of tourists or people coming through to really support an art gallery. So I think the revenue that the art gallery got was very minimal, and potentially, the university is not wanting to spend money for something they're not using. The art gallery is not making enough revenue to repair it, because I can imagine it's incredibly expensive to maintain that building, just even if it's not really being maintained. And that's kind of what had happened there. Like, it needs so much work, and I kind of go through parts of it maybe. But yeah, initially there's some structural challenges with it too that's been in the news, like the chimney. You can actually see ratchet straps all around the chimney. you have to, someone to purchase it needs financial depth to not just purchase it, but be able to address the immediate and medium term challenges.
And this is the thing, right? So, like, whenever I used to go looking for a home for myself, and this is far bigger than that because it's huge and whatever, I'd take my brother-in-law with me who's a home builder, and he basically could just look at something and go, okay, that's going to be 15 grand. Okay, that's going to be, $7,500. Okay, that's unknown, but it could cost up to this much. Okay, and then he would tell us, okay, to buy this building, you're going to have to do bup, 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 and these are the things you're going to have to do, and here's the extra costs. So obviously you didn't go through the building with anyone like that. And that's something that probably would come after. If you were interested, then you'd have to look into that, because in order to make an offer, you'd have to include that, because you'd know it's going to cost a certain amount. But from just, what do you have even a ballpark of how much money that would be to get that thing to a point where, all these things are fixed?
I mean, my realtor is a home builder. That's kind of why I choose him. So we're not totally out to lunch, but it's certainly a different animal than your typical home. So even then, I'm a bit. But if I were to ballpark it, like, I think you're looking at like $1 million to $1.5 million to like properly fix up.
Wow.
Between the structural and actually the interior, maybe $1 million, but it's just got like. It's rough.
Yeah. And I think they were letting, because of the state Laurentian University's been in for the last few years, right? Through insolvency and whatever. And it's not like they had a bucket load of money to keep this thing going. So it would have had to been let go. And unfortunately, once, you get a leak, if you don't fix it right away, it starts to do other things. And then one thing leads to another. So let's say you could, put in an offer for this building, and what does that look like? You would obviously need to get a few other like-minded people together, and if you were, what could you use this building for?
Yeah, so I'm always looking at opportunities. So even though they're asking $1 million, and I'm ballparking, you need another $1 million to fix it, of which I do not have anywhere near that. I did reach out to my investors, and they're willing, but they're only willing to do a certain percentage of, what that total mortgage would be. And it's more than like the 5 or 20% you can typically get for residential homes. Like, it's kind of falls into that commercial where they're wanting a lot more of a down payment to front the money. And then you're fronting the money, plus you're just paying the interest on a mortgage for a period of time while it got repaired. So it's significant. And so I talked with that. I talked with my lawyer, like, okay, well, how do you set this up with like multiple people? Because I've never done, partnerships like that. And he gave me a quick synopsis. And I talked with the insurance company, Switch Insurance. They also pulled off a small miracle getting me insurance on the president's house, and how you do that, because it's not normal, and things like that could totally derail a purchase if you can't find anybody that's willing to insure a property like that. And so there's that aspect. But continuing on that note, what you could do with it is, if you had, so to your thing, I think there's tons of opportunities of things you could do. You can read in the news, there's a gentleman looking at kind of like an art theater there. I think you'd have opportunities around like a cafe, event center, office space. Like, I think there's lots. It's a decently sized property, and aside from the basement that you can't really do much, it's like not even 6 feet everywhere, or barely over 6 feet. There's tons of opportunity and space that you could do something with if you renovate it, and it's got tons of parking, which is always key there.
And the location is pretty cool. I mean, it's right around Ramsey Lake there, and I even thought, what if you made multiple rooms as a bed and breakfast as well? But there would be a lot of renovation for that, because there's a lot of open space. You'd basically have to build, and then you'd have to build a lot of bathrooms and whatever, things like that. So there'd be even more cost associated, but who knows? So, and again, when you go to do renovations for this, you have to adhere to some of these regulations and stuff. As a historical building, you might go in and go, okay, well, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And they say, well, sorry, you can't. So you have to really go through what that means. But you do have a little bit of experience because the president's home you bought, was it in a similar?
No, it's gorgeous. Like, I mean, there's tons of work I had to do, plumbing, electrical, fixing, cosmetic stuff, but like night and day compared to the state of Bell Mansion.
Oh, okay. Now, in terms of what it's deemed as legally, is the president's home in the same category as Bell Mansion or two different categories?
So this one is zoned, the house I live in now, the president's house, or I branded as Laurentian Manor, is zoned residential, I think R2 or something. So it's like zoned, you can do a bed and breakfast within it. It just fits in the area, like all the areas around are the same zoning. But the Bell Mansion is zoned institutional, which means you could do things like daycares and event centers, things like that. But I think there's a pretty strong possibility you could rezone it to commercial or something. As a price to it, or you can get like it's called like a partial change, where you can, like, you're still institutional but you're doing something a little bit not quite institutional. Because I talked to the city about this place and I was looking to change the zoning of the house here, and then I was just like, no, I'm just gonna keep it as the bed and breakfast. Like that's fine. Changing the zoning is a little more than I wanted to take on at that time.
Yeah, sometimes it can be harder to do that than just kind of go with what you can do with the current zoning kind of thing. So there's some possibilities there. So are you just kind of throwing it out there for people to get in touch with you and say, hey, I think we can maybe think of doing something like this, together? Or are you looking at shares kind of thing with just people who are the money people, or you know what I mean? Are there idea people you're looking for with money? Or like what kind of partnerships are you kind of thinking of?
So I guess one thing, to speak to maybe just before that is like, well, how would I accomplish this? Like, even if I could get investors or someone to like cover a $1 million offer, then how do you deal with the renovations? And I have a close friend who's worked for nonprofits for like 10 years or longer, writing like grant money. And I've talked with her at length about the opportunities around, like, how does grant money work? How does it all happen? And seed money. And, she's of the belief that because it's so important to the city and it's got historic designation, et cetera, that there's a strong possibility that you could get significant grant money, that essentially if you could just float the house for a period of time, you could pay for a significant amount of the renovations through partnerships with, Cambrian College or other organizations that could have input, be it like trade schools or the city or whoever else, and get this grant money and stuff to actually pay for the repairs. Because, it's quite an undertaking if you're just an individual to buy it and then pay for all this. At least not something that I'd be capable of. So that's kind of like one of the ideas of how you could make it successful, because I don't have the financial depth, and I imagine most people probably don't. There's only a few select people that might have the financial depth to purchase it and like fully renovate it to another purpose.
And someone, I find, in today's day and age, as we become more and more socialistic in our society, people who understand government grants, and they understand how to get them, they understand how to go out and research what's available, and they're constantly changing as well. And so there's these people that are just hired, like the colleges and universities and people that rely on government support. They hire somebody to just concentrate on that, just government grants, and that's it. They just kind of go and scope out these things. And so I'm not sure if you get someone who's versed in that as well, or you already have that yourself or what, but that's always important in these types of projects.
Yeah, so that would be kind of my thought is so back to your actual question. Yes, I would be certainly open to chatting with. I did have I've spoke with several people. Some are interested, some are stepped out because for various reasons it wouldn't work for them. But I mean, I am looking for people that would be interested to see how we could go about it, because despite the the price tag and the complete state of disrepair, I mean, the argument is it does work in your favor because it's going for such a low price, or potentially lower, depends what it was evaluated or what we would evaluate it as. But I think it still has huge potential despite all of that problems. And then something that I didn't get back to you on there earlier is the challenge with renovations and stuff. So the only thing that's actually, there was a fire in the building in the 50s or 60s, and it pretty much gutted the inside. And so that's why it just looks like a giant art gallery inside, because I guess what probably used to be a beautiful interior was burnt. And so the only historic part to it is the actual like exterior stone. So you can pretty much do whatever you want with the inside. You just have to keep some of the original windows. Maybe you can get new ones, but they'd have to look almost the exact same. And you just probably can't put like new vinyl windows on, but you just have to keep the original stonework outside is pretty much what is historic to do with it, which doesn't really prevent you from doing whatever you wanted inside.
Now, it doesn't sound like if you're going to approach me on this and say, hey, AJ, what do you think about purchasing this? It doesn't sound like it's something that you're, that right off the bat is something, oh, hey, we're going to make really good coin from this deal. It doesn't sound like it's a slam dunk on, wow, we're going to make good profits off of this. It almost sounds like it's a passion project in a way, like it's something, you know what I mean? Like it's just something that you can keep in the community and kind of give back or make it fit in the community kind of thing. It doesn't sound like it's just a financial venture. Am I off on that or?
Okay, so partly passion, because I think it would be a really interesting, unique project that could benefit the community and benefit myself and whoever else was interested financially. But yeah, definitely not a slam dunk. Possibly the furthest from it. But it's not because I think it has it's financially viable, but you have to have the financial depth to suffer through a year of like no earnings. So you need a significant amount of capital to hold you through, or be able to reasonably quickly get grant money, which essentially, if done correctly, you can have other people, your tax dollars, come back and pay for the project, and then it becomes a lot more financially viable. I think the way it becomes financially viable, at least for a person without millions of dollars of debt, is if you can get all these partnerships from trade colleges and other organizations and all this grant money and seed money. And if you can do that and turn it into a nonprofit, that's something else I forgot to mention. So you would actually, I probably sound crazy, but anyhow, if you purchase it with some people and then you create a board of 3 people to create a nonprofit that then would like lease it from the people who purchased it, then you qualify for nonprofit status. And that's when you have all this opportunity for funding and whatnot. And I think if you're able to successfully do that and get the grant money, that's where it really becomes financially viable, that it could be successful. But I think just doing it yourself and then sinking another $1 million in is the furthest from a slam dunk there is.
It sounds like you're going to, hopefully you can attract some visionaries that, are able to sit down and really kind of brainstorm a vision for this place. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you've already done a lot of it and you're just missing a few little components of what can be done with this particular building. And the idea of grant money now, if it's going to become something that's going to give back to the community, well, then that's what grant money should be for community projects like this. It's going to have organizations in it that are giving back to the community and things like that. Well, then obviously tax money is, that's what it's for. And that makes sense. So, and it is an iconic building. It's, it's the Bell Mansion and has a huge history for Sudbury. And hopefully, you're able to be successful in rounding the kind of people up that you're hoping to, and you can make this a successful venture, because it would be nice to see that something positive come from the the Bell Mansion? Because I don't think Laurentian University per se would be able to at this point do anything with it. So it's better off in other hands at this point.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. Like, I don't think it's best in like the art gallery's hands or even the city's hands or the university's hands, because they don't have the latitude to do what they want with it. They don't have, there's no motivation, where in this case, like, at least I have like a really great story I can share with like what I've done with the President's House. You know, we've turned it into this. I had like the Historical Society of Bell Park area come through here with like a group of 20 people about 2 weeks ago, and people can come here, stay, you know, their family can stay here for a night, and they get to see like, you know, a nicely maintained, restored house that wasn't just like demolished leveled and apartments built here, because there was no historic designation on the President's House. Like, when I purchased it, I could have within my right just leveled it and built an apartment building, but that's obviously not what I did and not what I want to do ever. But at least I can share, you know, here's what I've done here and what we could do at Bell Mansion, because I think the value of the building is huge. It's gorgeous on the outside, that rock exterior. I mean, if you were to try to replace a building like that today and do that rock exterior, like I don't know how much that would cost. That's outside of me and even my builder realtors, I think.
And with tariffs and all these things changing in our economy, it would be even harder to guesstimate that. So, okay, well, I hope, you know, everything goes well with this venture. How does someone get in touch with you if they're like listening to this on the radio? Like, well, what are they talking about again? This sounds like something I can get involved with. You know, how do they get in touch with you?
Probably the easiest way, because if I said a phone number or email, no one's going to remember. But the house that I live in now, that I run as the B&B, I branded as Laurentian Manor. So if you just search Laurentian Manor on like Google or Maps or whatever, there's a website, or laurentianmanor.ca, and you can just email the business or the phone number there, and I'd be happy to chat. We're actually meeting with somebody in like 30 minutes here. They're stopping by to chat about this. So there's already some people that we're meeting that are interested, but kind of I think everyone's in kind of a similar situation to me, is like, how can you do this? But we'd also need some level of grant money, and then how do you pull this all together? So, I mean, it's a vision, an idea. I wanted to do the reach out, and regardless if it ends up being, you know, I be a part of the group that purchased it or somebody else, I really hope that it turns into something that's you know, beneficial to the community.
And same here. So we've been talking with Nick Bondaroff, and he has a vision for the Bell Mansion that's for sale. And we've been talking with him for the last, I don't know, almost half an hour or so. And we really appreciate him. This is our second time we've had him on the show. And I think we're going to have him on a third time just to follow up on this conversation to see how all this has gone. So reach out to me anytime, Nick, and we'll have you back on, and wish you all the best in the meantime. And hopefully everything goes well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, AJ. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick, for being on. It's all the time we got for now, so stay tuned for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care. We'll be back same time, same place on Monday on the same platforms. God willing, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, everyone. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.